Good morning. We want to take a look at the Feds versus the anti-Feds. And if you remember, federalism is a division of power between the states, federal government. States, federal government. This should be pretty even. Sorry. All right, let's take a look at some of these articles, and I'll try to do it and then take a pause and look at a PowerPoint to check on your notes. We'll look at Patrick Henry, who is definitely an anti-Fed. The deformities of the Constitution. This Constitution is said to have beautiful features, but when I come to examine these features, sir, they appear to me horribly frightful. Among other deformities is an awful squinting towards monarchy. Does not this raise indignation in the breast of every true American? Your president may easily become king. Your Senate is so imperfectly constructed that your dearest rights may be sacrificed by what may be a small minority. Where are the checks in this government? Your strongholds will be in the hands of your enemies. It is on a belief that our American governors shall be honest, that all good qualities of this government are founded, but its imperfect construction puts it in their power to commit the worst of mischiefs. Should they be bad men, sir, loss of liberty will surely follow. If your American chief be a man of ambition and abilities, how easy it is for him to take total control. The army is in his hands, and it will be attached to him. Once he takes over, will your American spirit be able to save your country? I would rather have a government with king, lords, and commons than a government so full of such intolerable evils. If we make a king, we may lay out the rules by which he shall rule his people, and set up such checks as shall prevent him from violating them. The president in the field at the head of the army can prescribe the terms on which he shall reign, so far that it will puzzle any American how to get his neck from under this yoke. Away with your president, we shall have a king. The army will salute him as a monarch. Obviously this is sarcasm. Your militia will leave you and assist in making him king, and they will fight against you. And what have you to oppose this force? What will then become of your rights? Will not a dictatorship follow? Yeah, obviously he was afraid of a strong federal government. When I do this, this means the Feds. The Federals wanted a very strong federal government. They were very worried about another Shays rebellion. So these are the Feds. The anti-Feds wanted some type of shield from Daddy. When Daddy gets mad, he starts a swinging. When the Feds, they want a very strong federal government, anti-Feds wanted to shield. And if you shield yourself from Daddy like this, you've got 10 fingers. 10 fingers, that's the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments. That is what the Feds wanted as a shield against Daddy. The anti-Feds. Shield against Daddy. So let's take another look at an anti-Fed article, this number 2, check my time. The Pennsylvania Anti-Federalists, inadequate representation. The House of Representatives is to consist of 65 members. That is one for about 50,000 inhabitants, to be chosen every 2 years. 33 members will form a quorum for doing business, and 17 of these, being the majority, determine the sense of the House. The Senate, the other constituent branch of the legislature, consists of 26 members, being 2 from each state, appointed by their legislatures every 6 years. Remember, 13 states, right now, 2. And back then, the senators were chosen by the states' legislatures. They weren't elected like we do now. That didn't change until 1900s, early 1900s, I think. 14 senators make a quorum. That means enough to vote. The majority of whom, 8, determines the sense of that body. Thus it appears that the liberties, happiness, interests, and great concerns of the whole United States may be dependent upon the integrity, wisdom, and knowledge of 25 men. How inadequate and unsafe a representation. Inadequate because the views of 3 or 4 million people spread over so extensive a territory, comprising such various climates, products, habits, interests, and opinions, cannot be collected in so small a body. Besides, it is it is not a fair and equal representation of the people because the smallest state has as much weight in the Senate as the largest. Given the nature of the elections to Congress, men in the most elevated rank and file will be chosen. The other orders in society, such as farmers, traders, and mechanics, ought to have a good number in the legislature, but they will be totally unrepresented. He's talking about the two people that are chosen to be in the Senate, of course, going to come from the upper class, probably, the upper crust. That's obviously an anti-Fed representation, or view, I should say. There is another one coming up, but let's take a moment. I'm going to pause this or whatever, maybe stop, and take a look at some of your notes. So remember, feds, strong federal government. They wanted to make sure Daddy had enough strength to put down another Shays Rebellion. Anti-feds, a shield from Daddy. 10 fingers, 10 amendments. You've got your shield from Daddy, the Bill of Rights.